People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
There's always just that active red light defenders. I think it's like. There's always just that active red light defenders. I think it's like.
Showtime, people. Deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Appreciative to the regulars who are tuned in. If you're new here, then one love to you. Big up you lot on Twitch. Make sure you're subscribing with Amazon Prime. Anyone watching it on Twitter, YouTube crew, you know I love you. This is where we started. Please do me a favor and on your way in, smash the like button. Any comments, talking points, questions, all of that good stuff. Feel no sort of way about getting them in. I'm here to answer the questions. I'm here to have a debate with you lot and speak football, man. Now we know it's a massive weekend of football, people. First things first, we need to do our job against Brentford. We need to get our 3 points. You know, Ivan Toney scares me. Historically, what Brentford do as a football club have scared me. They're fighting for their lives indirectly in a relegation battle. Obviously, we've been linked with Ivan Toney, or it's off now. Apparently, people, it's a good audition for him. Apparently, they're missing their back four, and they're missing their whole first choice back four for that matter, and they're missing 1-2 other players. So that should be a boost to our chances. But if we've learned anything, probably from Liverpool, from City, from West Ham in this recent run of games, when we've won, it's not all, you can always achieve stuff without necessarily your strongest players, and you shouldn't write anyone off. You know, it's a big week for us. We got 3 points on Monday against Sheffield United. Hopefully we beat Brentford in a London derby, which the London derbies are kind of the games we're messing up at, really. You know, we battered West Ham, but we dropped points against West Ham at home. Spurs, we shot ourselves in the foot. Chelsea, we shot ourselves in the foot. Twice against Fulham, we shot ourselves in the foot. So we need to keep it going and keep it moving. Of course, there's been some others. You know, we've beaten Brentford already. Obviously, we've dealt with Crystal Palace. So provided we get 6 points this week, it makes Sunday even more interesting. And you know, on Saturday, we'll be watching Arsenal-Brentford together. We'll also be watching Liverpool against Manchester City as well, people. And there'll be live shows and the rest of it. So smash the like button, turn on your notification bells and all of that good stuff. Should we see what the transfer news and all of this jazz is saying in relation to Arsenal? First things first, we're stopping off with Mikel Arteta's press conference. Allegedly, he has issued his latest team news update ahead of Saturday's visit of Brentford at the Emirates Stadium, where I reckon, on one hand, Aaron Ramsdale this is his first of 2 last games in an Arsenal shirt. I think he will play against Everton on the last day of the season. But if, and a very big if, we're still in a title race and we're fighting, then obviously Raya will play. There's a big chance, ironically, against currently Raya's permanent club or parent club, that this will be Ramsdale's last outing in an Arsenal shirt. He can leave with his head held high. Hopefully he gets a clean sheet and a great standing ovation by the fans at the Emirates, people. But on that, he has said, we've got some players back last Monday. Then we had Martinelli and Saka with little issues, but we are pretty positive that hopefully they can be a part of that. But we'll have to wait and see how they are tomorrow. Now, personally, where Bukayo Saka is concerned, people, I think it's a bit of mind games from Mikel Arteta. Saka very well could have been sick. It's that time of year. I just think it was a thing where, you know, we've had a great run. We battered Sheffield United. The game was done. We know we've got a lot of games coming up. March is difficult. Let's rest Saka's legs. I think that's why he came off at half-time. Obviously, Martinelli's got a cut on his foot, which, based on how it looked when we was watching the game, it was kind of crazy, really and truly. So, yeah, positive news where Saka and Martinelli are concerned. Again, anything can change in an Arsenal minute. Smash the like button, folks. But it is also nice to see Jesus and Partey returning and Fabio Vieira. And we hope not before too long, Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, because I don't want to put a downer on things. But we've got the Champions League. We've got some big games coming up. And we had one recognised defender on our bench, which was Cedric. And he's not going to be here next season. And imagine he actually left in January, really and truly. Arteta said, "It is what it is." That's a quote I live by. He's fully prepared. He's in relation to Ramsdale. He trains really well every day. He's desperate to play like the rest of the boys who haven't had that many opportunities. And Saturday is a great day for him. He's been brilliant. It's been really good, really positive, really pushing everything in training like I expected. And it's a joy to have two top goalkeepers in the team. I don't know if we'll say that next season. One of the toughest things to deal with is for players who don't have the amount of time that they deserve. Not only Aaron, but with many of those. But we have an unbelievable group of players. We try to be straight and explain things and be close to them and give them the support that we want. And then when they have the opportunity at the end, they want to contribute to the team and in the best possible way. And that's what Aaron will do on Saturday. He hasn't provided any updates on Timber. Can't imagine anybody expected him to be back anytime soon. Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, it doesn't look like they're going to get over their calf issues in the next 24 or so hours, people. We hope for the best. I don't know what you have to do, Zinchenko and Tomiyasu. Take nothing away from Kiri or any of the squad players. But Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Thomas Partey, Gabriel Jesus, Fabio Vieira, everyone needs to shake off any ring rust and ensure they're fit really and truly for Manchester City at the end of this month, which is not going to be easy. Mikel Arteta, we've gone over the press. In relation to his press conference, we've just read that. Obviously, he's bigged up Aaron Ramsdale's attitude. He's obviously, everybody can see that the Dubai trip worked a treat, but nonetheless, it was necessary. We had a really tough period before that. We played so many games and had some defeats, especially not deserving to lose matches. But I think the trip was something that was probably necessary to keep improving, keep demanding from ourselves, and the weather, the temperature, some of the things we had time to work on to improve as a team as well. And everything clicked. We won, we're playing good, and that helps. On whether the trip can be a turning point in our season, it is, because we've salvaged something. Whether that will be something we look back at May and say, oh, this is where it went left for us, is another thing, people. It was really good. It was perfect timing for us. What we built there, the chemistry, the energy that was around the place, the amount of time we had to spend together and enjoy that part. It was a really positive trip. On potential motivation to play Brentford at home after last season, every point that we left this season hurts, and that's still there. We have a lot to play for. The difficulty of the match is really tough. We played them twice already and we suffered. We always suffer against Brentford. On Saturday, I expect a really similar match. I do as well, regardless of their injuries. Of course, I think, with confidence, I'm bullish on Arsenal's chances of getting 3 points. I don't think it's going to be a 4-5, 6-0 kind of thing. Of course, I want that to be the case. I'm going with 2-1 Arsenal. Ivan Toney to score for Brentford and them to actually take the lead. I think it will just be a bit of a sobering one, but I expect 3 points, if I'm honest with you. This is our only insurance policy heading into the Manchester City game, people. And he said that's the only thing we can control. Perform well, play better than them, and earn the right to win the game. Let's do that. And if we do that on Sunday, it's a beautiful game to watch for any football supporter. And I'll certainly be watching it. And when you look at Haaland and Trent, the mind games between both of them, them players, it will be an interesting one on Sunday, really, where naturally I want City to lose because I think they're the big bad bullies. But then I think Liverpool have to lose. So it makes a draw a perfect result, really and truly. Let me know your thoughts on everything I've just said and discussed so far. On if he cares about the result of the game. Of course he does. But as he says here, I can't control it. It's irrelevant what he thinks, Control the controllables. Control your anxiety in life and in football about what you can't control. I'll enjoy a magnificent game of football between two of the best teams in Europe in the last decade. Let's see what that brings. But the focus is on us and Brentford. On if he has a preference on who wins privately and publicly, I have the same answer because it's nothing to do with me. And I agree with Mikel Arteta. But I think if his friends asked him, being a City man and seeing what it takes to win a league and what we've come to see from Liverpool, I think with his friends and close comrades, he'll have something else to say there. He then said on a potential message being sent to our title rivals, I do think Liverpool and City are wary and indirectly we've made them up their game. But I think to a degree, if you're Liverpool, you're just focused on remaining at the top of the table. If you're Manchester City, you're just focused on probably beating Arsenal and Liverpool and trying to do the treble again. But he said, it's great because it shows the quality and the consistency that the team is showing. The way that we have scored those goals as well, not only the manner, but as well the personnel is a really positive thing to see. Then there's the fact that we are conceding very little defensively. So those ingredients together are very powerful very powerful to get results and consistency, and we want more. And with us having to go to Wolves away, Brighton away, Tottenham away, Man United away, City away, some big games. Hopefully these things continue. Apologies, people. I've missed out a part on potential new contracts for our players. Not really, and I leave that more to Edu and the club to announce those things when the time's right. You'd imagine Tomiyasu, Benjamin White have signed their deals. Arteta's probably signed his new deal as well, in my opinion. And Zinchenko's got 2 years left on his deal. You'd imagine he's the next one that I think they'll give a new deal, but I'll say sort out his future, people. On the pressure of us moving into top spot and what that would do for our rivals, we know the demands that we have and the demands that Brentford are going to ask of us to win the game and identify that we are still not top of the league and we want to be better than where we are at the moment, and the other two are. So we have to continue to win. I don't look at the league table, don't know where we're at. Obviously, he said he's going to watch the game with his kids, and they keep asking him what his preferred result would be. So yeah. On if this is the best title race in Premier League history, I can imagine that for a lot of people is very interesting, and we want to make it very interesting, especially for us, so we have to keep it going. Kai Havertz has been in a great run of form. It shows his character as well and how he has dealt with all those question marks, the attitude he has shown all the time when things were not that good in certain phases of the game, but he continued to work hard, and that's why he's loved by everyone here, and we can see his quality and intelligence on the pitch and the contribution he's having to the team, so we're very happy with him. Shout out to my supporters, because some of you would have seen, obviously, before I'm live now, probably at 3:15 p.m. UK time, I issued Kai Havertz an apology, and I asked the question, is he the next Van Persie? Now, do I believe that? 100% not. But you got to play the YouTube game, people, and make them mad titles, man. Big up the members and everyone else in the chat. Arsenal need a draw between Liverpool and City, hopefully. Arsenal dark horses, according to my mate Gary. We can be the dark horses, but the reality is, things can change and fluctuate. We're third of a 3-horse race. DG doing a watch along for the Premier League runners-up match on Sunday. I will. Big up my guy Dan Potts, and some of you would have seen as well. I was on his channel. I'm going to get him back on the show next week, so hopefully there's some positive things to speak about. And Oliver, appreciative for the support across both platforms. Yes, won't be upset if we don't get Toney. Another centre-back, 6, and a right winger needed. Get a 9 if you sell Eddie, Jesus, and whoever else. I think we need a striker. Of course, my priority would be someone that can get 20 league goals or more, or someone that can be groomed into that. But I just think we need a plan B. Yes, we're scoring a bunch of goals. We're doing our thing. And football's weird. When you can't score, when you look back at in December, when everything's going wrong and we're playing well, but the ball's not going in the back of the net in a positive way, everything we touch is turning to gold. Now it fluctuates. So I do think we shouldn't be guided by the current form lens and things like that. I do think this team has goals and they share it about, but I would like a plan B or another striker, purely because who is the only player in this Arsenal team you guys would bet your life is going to get double figures either in the league or all comps? At this moment in time, it's Bukayo Saka. He's done it for the last 2-3 years. Odegaard's a quality player and he's finding his goal scoring touch again. He's only had one season of double figures. Martinelli the same. Trossard can get goals, but you get where I'm going. Jesus, to be fair, got 10-11 in his first campaign. But yeah, so why can't we have the best of both worlds? We share the goals out and we do what needs to be done, man. Kai is not Van Persie's Thierry Henry joke. That's a madness. What result you want on Sunday? City, Liverpool. What result on Sunday will benefit Arsenal in this title race? Well, to be fair, I don't know. I would say a draw. My bias would be City to lose because they're the big bad bullies. Obviously, Liverpool are getting their players back fully fit. Klopp is leaving. They're at the top of the pops. They've been the only ones to pip City to a title. If Liverpool win their next couple of games, 8-point gap or 5 to 8 point gap potentially, that's a bit too much, really. But then again, if you're Pep, you're probably sitting there and saying, listen, a lot of people have had a lot to say about us this season. We're also hitting form at the right time. And reality is, at some point, we've got to play Liverpool and Arsenal. We kill both those teams, it's back in our hands. Obviously, if we beat City and we beat Brentford and there's, the footballing gods shine their light on us on Sunday, we're back in the driving seat. And I guess if you're a neutral, it's amazing. If you support Arsenal, Liverpool, City, there's talking points every day, man. So I don't know. Arsenal fans are seemingly forcing him out from time. We are calling the Brentford game a farewell for Ramsdale, so having to competition in the squad. I don't think anyone's forcing him out. And the reality is, even if people wanted Ramsdale, I can't imagine there's energy for Ramsdale to leave because I think he's liked. Yeah, there's competition in the squad, but Ramsdale wants to clearly be a number one. You're not going to get England. You're not going to get England number one if you're not playing for your country. As much as I think Ramsdale's a fantastic professional, obviously he's disappointed, but he's playing with his head up and doing what he needs to do. I don't think this will persist next season. I don't know who would be the new backup goalie, but where you look at potential Arsenal sales, who's really going to bring in decent money? You'd imagine Aaron Ramsdale can bring in, depending on how good Edu is at negotiating, 35 to 50 million. I don't want Ramsdale to go, and I don't know where that forcing him out stuff is going. And yeah, it's competition. And you're right, you know, it is nice to have two good goalies, but it's a fallacy, really. You know, everybody knew Mikel Arteta was lying, respectfully to the gaffer, when he's saying I was sub keepers, I want two top goalies. It's not going to be that. The minutes have, and I'm not criticizing him for that, because you need stability. The minutes haven't been distributed equally. Raya has played in anything close to an important game. He played against City. He's played in the North London derby. He's played, you know, in the Champions League. So big up Ramsdale, but, you know, it's not FIFA. It's a fallacy, really. I would love it. I would love Ramsdale in the FIFA world to go out on loan for a couple of years and whatnot, but it's just not how the cookie crumbles, man. So big up Kai Havertz, fellow summer signing. Smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Arteta spoken on Declan Rice. That's something that is amongst the team that we want to keep improving. They all believe that they have another gear or two to go, and that's the level that we want to push them. We're achieving it with the majority of the players, and we have to continue to do so. He then said it's very difficult to do if you don't know the players that you have. Arteta, you said we got one of the finished squads. Can we make sure we supplement this next summer? You have to adapt to the players and the qualities that they have in order to play and achieve what you want to do. But I'm really satisfied with the way the team plays. On what has changed about this team this season, experience is a factor. And what do I always say, people? I think experience is overrated, but it can never be overstated. If you know, you know. They have played more together as well and understand the system better, which is true. They understand the way we have to compete and the demands that we have to put on ourselves better. And the confidence grows when results go their way and the performance is good as well, which is true. On Kai Havertz, he also said yes, and his ability to occupy a space as well in the transition moments to exploit them. The aggression he has in the high press is really, really good. He has the physical qualities to play very different kinds of games, and that's the attribute we felt was going to be positive for us. Fair enough. You know, I wonder if the gaffer's flirting with playing him left back, if he takes a leaf out of the German gaffer's book, really. We've seen him play up front. I think Kai Havertz, you look the best for me in an Arsenal shirt right now up front. I would like for you to look like a decent central midfielder in the left eight, because we'd have some confirmation there, and we might get to see Declan Rice play, you know, a bit more of a consistent, different look Declan Rice. But yeah, on Henry seeing similarities between Rice and Yaya Toure. I'm here for this. A very good player to get compared to, because Yaya was an incredible player. What he did in this league was outstanding, and Rice wants more, so that's a good sign. On Ramsdale's personality, one of the toughest things is to deal with... Oh, sorry, we've already gone over that, people, really. But yeah, he said he respects it. On if he prefers building momentum in a short period of time between games rather than having long periods of rest. I mean, I guess if you're a manager and you've got less games, you've got more time to focus on things, you know, because obviously if you've got 2 games in a week, you might want to introduce new things to your team, but you might have to focus primarily on the opponent. So I could say with a bit of time, you've got time to relax and stuff. But I also feel, especially when you're in good form, you want the games to come thick and fast, really, which I think this little bit of form that we found ourselves in, take nothing away from what Arsenal have done, take nothing away from the opposition, because we've had to go out there and do the business. Considering December, I think this was a great run of form for us. Unfortunately, I personally don't feel it would be enough, because I just think it's, you know, we're relying on a bit too much from City and Liverpool, and we're going to have... The Arteta says we want 90 points, so there isn't too many times we can afford to drop points. But nonetheless, he said, well, we had a really strange schedule lately because we had a long period after Newcastle, and the same happened a week or 2 ago. We have adapted, and we have the capacity to adapt to that. It's true that now we're going to have 2 games very close to each other, and then we're going to have a big gap again after the international break to City. So try to prepare in the right way to maximize the time that we get. On Smith Rowe, Nketiah and Emil Smith Rowe, Reece Nelson and Eddie, the Haaland boys not playing against Sheffield United. We discuss things, and we cannot play every player in every game. Make yourself a player that plays every game, I would say to these 3. Those players played a few games ago, Newcastle, and they had opportunities to do that. Now we have 5 subs. Before we only had 3, so we have another 2 players happy. That's the way I take it. But you always have players who want to be involved in play, but unfortunately, it is impossible. It's not in our hands. It's impossible to achieve that, so they know that. The collective comes first. We need 3 points. Of course, we've been battering teams. The minutes could be more shared out, but it is what it is. On if he's pulled them aside to discuss their minutes. I'm not being funny. You're grown men. This is football. Nobody's owed anything. Make yourself play to the standard where Mikel Arteta can't keep you out the side, where there has been a point where that's been Eddie Nketiah. That's definitely been Smith Rowe. I don't think that's quite been said to Nelson. I do think there's been opportunities when our form hasn't been this good for Nelson, but then I guess the manager's got his own different ideas. And for Reece, Eddie Nketiah and Smith Rowe, I don't think we can sell all of them because we're going to need them, you know, for homegrown purposes, but they've got a decision to make in the summer, essentially. But if we're trying to fight for league titles and do these things, then there's less minutes. If life was fair, we'd have a lot less. As much as I would love to cure world hunger and all these things, and it's a terrible example, if all food was, like, let's just take better, yeah? Let's look in your house. Some of you live with your parents and whatever. If you had a loaf of bread and that was distributed fairly, that would be fair. But would your belly necessarily be full? It is what it is, man. We're not here to make friends. As much as I like the family orientated stuff, we're here to win games. It's so ugly, it's beautiful. So he said, you cannot really promise anything. You never know what is going to happen in 3 weeks or 7 days. And you look at Cedric and Jorginho, at times they've been forgotten about at the club. I think we have to show the compassion and that they need to feel that we are next to them and we understand where they are. But the reality is as well is that this is football. This is a team sport and you have to understand and fulfill the role that you have in the moment. And it might be very different in 3 weeks' time. And that is also true. Again, on if he'll be watching City versus Liverpool with his coaching staff, I didn't think about that. You gave me an idea, but the idea was to watch it with my kids, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Arteta, you're a liar, man. I love it. He's got that Wenger stuff. He's clearly going to watch it with his kids. When it's time to do the tactical stuff in preparation for City, him and all his coaching staff, they're all going to watch it. You know, he's probably going to watch the game 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Our mad scientist of a manager. Big him up. On if Aaron can adapt to what he wants from a goalkeeper. Not only can he adapt, he has proven that he can perform really well to what I want and what we want, which is true. Obviously, Raya must do whatever Arteta wants a bit better. But, you know, when Ramsdale came into this club, a lot of people didn't want him and back-to-back relegation and all of that. One thing I liked about Ramsdale that I never saw is I didn't know how good he was with a ball at his feet. And going back to Reece Nelson, Liverpool in the FA Cup, Nelson, you should have scored because, you know, if David Raya did that, I might be doing tactical analysis videos. There was one lovely pass from Ramsdale. It just is what it is, man. Raya's just, I guess, better at whatever Arteta wants from you, if you know, and if Ramsdale can become better than that at Raya and what's left of the season, you might eclipse him. If not, I think the writing's on the wall, people, but big him up. He said, we don't have that kind of conversation with players when speaking about keeping his place. Not with Aaron or any other player. You feel you play today, you have a chance to play next week. That doesn't happen. On if he can rule out a move for Toney in the summer, I don't talk about any other player because if not, I have to be ruling out every player in the market because we're linked with a lot of players. That's it. I always wonder if Edu and Mikel Arteta and anyone that holds any position at Arsenal, did they ever, you know, watch us YouTubers or look online and see who people are linked with and just laugh? On if our goal scoring form changes, thinking about whether we need a forward in the summer. I think we do, but no, the plans that we have for the summer are very clear and we're done almost at the start of the season. Understanding what we can have, the contract situations that we have with some players and how we want to improve and maintain the level of the team. This certainly has not changed anything. Shout out the gaffer with that one, people. So yeah, what have we made of that? Let me see some of the comments. Respect my guy on the never-ending grind. Got her in a circle, man. Appreciate that. And with supporters like you, how could I stop? Big up DG. Just scored a bicycle kick in school football better than your goal. Big up yourself, man. That's a great goal. I inspired it. Show us the video. It didn't happen. At a time, people were crying about Nelly being on the bench. Now he's starting almost every game. What we need is patience from the fan base and the players as well. I think the players are naturally, no one's going to be happy to be on the bench. And obviously, you know, I'd say one of the hardest things about being a manager is you can tell a player, yeah, I like you, I believe in you. But if you're not playing, that's what you're being told, really. But you're right. And I think we need to be comfortable with players being rotated, players leaving, and a bit of patience. You know, Saliba was done at this club, done for at this club once upon a time. He's now part of one of the best defensive pivots in world football. Martinelli couldn't buy a game. Now you can't pay Martinelli not to start. Things happen in football, man. Force Arteta to change his mind, crying about it. It's not the way to go, but stupid question from the journal. Yeah, we blew it, dropping points to teams we should batter 7 wins in a row, but only 8 from 14. And that's the thing, man. It's them fine margins. It's a weird one because you're never going to win every game. But when you're fighting Liverpool and City, you need to, and it just makes you wonder, what if the 2 games against Fulham went different? What if we held on to the leads against Liverpool and Spurs? What if we didn't take an hour to warm up against Chelsea? What if we created and scored a chance against Newcastle or finished our dinner against Aston Villa and West Ham? We can't go back in time. We can only deal with what's in front of us. But yeah, City beat Pool, Gunners beat City, boom, title challenge complete, level up. I hope so, man. But let's just deal with Brentford in front of us at this moment in time. Shout out everybody tuned in. Ramsdale 40 mil, Zinni 35, Smith Rowe 50-60. I don't think you're getting, even with English tax at this moment in time, 50-60 for Smith Rowe's a myth. Eddie 15, I think you get a bit more. Sambi 20, I'll buy your arm off for that in the circle. Tavares 5 million, Cedric and El Nene released. Nelson 5 million, Toney 25, 200 million spending pot. I don't think we're going to get 25 million for Toney. As much as I rate, man said Bergwijn. As much as I rate him, there's got to be a reason. Like either Arsenal didn't have any permanent offers last summer, or the permanent offers that were fielded were not really there. I think we're going to take a hit with Toney. Brilliant player, contracted for at least another 2 years, but unfortunately, injuries haven't left him. I have a feeling Sambi is back with us next season. You never know. It all depends on what we do in terms of incomings. And I mean, if he really is, going up a new level, fair enough. And I'll support him if that's the case. But I feel as an Arsenal fan, sometimes I think we've just not got to go back to previous relationships. Lokonga is looking somewhat sexy playing for Luton, respectfully a promoted side. Have we ever had a better chance to recoup our losses on him? I don't think so, man. Really and truly. So let's just get our money and keep it moving. But if Sambi's reintegrated, do your thing, Sambi Lokonga, man. Who wouldn't want him to? Apparently, Arsenal reportedly keeping tabs on Athletic Bilbao attacker Nico Williams as per the Standard. The 21-year-old has established himself as a reliable attacker in La Liga, and he has 6 goals and 11 assists across all comps this season. Big up you lot, people. Apparently, as well, he's on 100 grand a week. He's versatile enough to operate on both flanks, and he'll add goals and creativity to Arsenal's attack. I like him, and I think Arteta can improve him, but I think our fans overrating his current ability, if that makes sense. We know we've got relative strength in attacking depth. He likes to take on players and he can beat them with his trickery and explosive pace. That's music to my ears, really. And at 21 years of age, he would be a solid investment. And apparently he's got a £43 million release clause. So I have to watch that closely. £43 million equates to about 50 million euros. And apparently Chelsea are continuing to also monitor him. They were looking at him before Cole Palmer arrived at the club. People. We spoke about this yesterday, but Barcelona have allegedly made contact to Mikel Arteta's reps over a summer swoop. Couldn't begrudge him for being tempted, but it feels like if he steps to Barcelona at this moment in time, it's literally like when he first walked through the door at Arsenal with that mess. Anything can happen, even if you sign a new deal. I personally think Mikel Arteta has signed his new Arsenal contract, and it will, and it will be announced at the end of the season. But that's just my thoughts as a fan. Apparently, Arsenal won't stand in Ramsdale's request if he wants to leave the club in the summer. This article is saying Ramsdale's priority is just Arsenal and only Arsenal, and then the Euros and only the Euros. Then I think he'll have a very frank conversation with the club after the Euros to get clarity on his future. I think because Arsenal respect Ramsdale, if he turns around after the Euros and says, listen, the opportunities just aren't there, I want to move, it'd be a begrudging exit. But I think that Arsenal won't be difficult with Ramsdale because they appreciate he's a top goalkeeper and naturally therefore can understand that he wants to play week in, week out. Would love him to stay, man. But yeah, and I'm sure his dad would as well. It feels like such a long time ago his dad was doing all them comments. If by the summer they don't feel they can get him that because they still have full faith in Ryan, they acknowledge to Ramsdale that he's not the number one, then at that point, I think Arsenal wouldn't stand in his way. It is, people in that regard. Now, I'm not one to diss these ITKs or talk them up because I don't know, but allegedly the Ivan Toney deal is off, which I'm not going to cry over that. Another ITK has allegedly said Arsenal are now extremely interested in a move for Neto, being touted at 80 million, but reality will be closer to 50 to 60 million pound move. Allegedly, Nico Williams and Xavi Simons also being watched too. You'd imagine Simons, I love him, he had a great performance against Madrid. You'd imagine he's part of PSG's plans and it will take something really expensive to tempt him away. Apparently Benjamin Sesko is hot property, people. He's been linked with Arsenal as well as Liverpool now and Chelsea. I'm having Sesko, very real, but could be a plan B if we're not going to find an immediate striker. Yesterday, we obviously saw reports that Newcastle and Bayern Munich are keen on Zinchenko, who's got 2 years left on his deal. I mean, for 45 million quid, I'm doing that really, just because the only thing I would knock with Zinchenko is he can't stay fit. And obviously, you know, the better we get and the more creative we get, the pros to his game are not really outweighed by the cons. But I would like to keep Zinchenko. I think he's a good player for the squad. And who knows, if you go to Newcastle or Bayern Munich, you might very well play left back, but you might also play in a more organic number 8 or number 10 position. Arsenal have been linked with signing Daniel Marlon, who used to play for the club, people. I'm not really keen on it. You know, you don't know me, I'm a football romance, but a bit of a myth, if I'm completely honest with you. I think he'll give us good depth, but I don't really feel he will come into, he's better than Nelson, respectfully, but I don't think he's really talking to Martinelli or Saka, but he can play up front. And he did once upon a time say yes. Say, I went to Arsenal, yes. So them, I want Arsenal, my favourite club. Yes, about returning there. I played there in my youth. I really wanted to break through there. So yes, so yeah, that's that. Even Zaha has been linked with leaving Galatasaray, people. We've also been linked with another Spaniard in La Liga, people. Apparently, the left-back Miguel Gutierrez, who apparently Real Madrid have a buyback clause of around 7 million. Apparently, for other clubs, he'll cost 34 million. Some of you remember the 22-year-old was linked with us in January. Apparently, there was a lot of priorities around a fullback at Arsenal, but it didn't happen. I mean, if Zinchenko leaves, fair enough. Tierney's probably going to leave. And I'm not against it because Zinchenko can't stay fit. Tomiyasu can't stay fit. And there are two options at left back. And Cedric at this moment is. And we only had one recognised defender on the bench. I guess there's logic to it. But a fit Timber, Tomiyasu, on paper Zinchenko, along with Kirill, who can play there now. I'm all for it, but does it necessarily make sense? But at 7 million, I guess it would be. It would, I guess. Douglas Luiz rumours. It wouldn't be transfer rumours without Douglas Luiz being linked with us. Apparently, the Gunners are eager to sign Luiz, and apparently we've already faced setbacks in our efforts to sign him. According to a report from Give Me Sport, Aston Villa are reportedly unwilling to let go of the 100 million rated Brazilian international. I mean, at 25 years of age, able to play as 8 and a 6, can take set pieces, and Arteta is already making Declan Rice do it. So imagine what he would do there, really. He's got 10 goals and 8 assists in all comps. 100 million? Madness. Absolute madness. And apparently, Partey is anticipated to leave in the summer. Thus, a suitable replacement will be required. Luiz has become an attractive target for Arsenal. It'd be intriguing to watch whether Arsenal are willing to pay a premium. I do think we're willing to spend money. You know, he spent 65 million on Havertz, but we want value. I guess they felt that was value, as is the case with all the others. 100 million, you're smoking something special in Birmingham, surely. I don't know about that. Subscribe if you haven't. Once again, this article is also saying we're showing concrete interest in signing said individual people. So we'll have to watch that one there closely. Arsenal are reportedly involved in a three-way tussle to land Bayern Munich star Joshua Kimmich this summer. The Gunners spent big money last summer hoping to significantly improve their squad. Can play right back as well as addressing midfield. He's out of contract till 2025. I don't imagine there'll be a decision made on him until Bayern Munich sort out their managerial situation, people. According to reports in Germany, Arsenal, Liverpool and City are all preparing to submit bids for Kimmich, hoping to wrap up a deal before the end of the campaign. The good news for the Gunners fans is that the report claims Arteta and Edu have already launched an offer and they could be the first at the altar. Fair enough. What does this mean? Joshua Kimmich is 29? No way. Joshua Kimmich, no way you're 29 already. 29? Wow, you're same age as me and Serge Gnabry. Time flies. Damn. When did Joshua Kimmich become 29 years of age? But fair enough, man. I don't think we're going to get him. But if he's valued at 60 million, I think that's fair value, if I'm honest. Allegedly, Osimhen considers Chelsea one of the most interesting offers to join in the summer, according to Fabrizio Romano. But it's a battle of the ITKs because David Ornstein apparently on a potential move to Chelsea for Osimhen. I think that's very unlikely owing to the transfer fee and salary. You never know, so it's one to watch. Romano has said Brentford are preparing for life without Toney. Ivan Toney could be an option for Arsenal. For example, if they want that kind of striker in brackets experience. Arsenal have sent scouts multiple times to follow Sesko. Arsenal have been in attendance multiple times to follow sporting players like Diamonde and Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal are keeping a close eye to the Portuguese market. Find the players wherever they are, people. We've gone over this with Aaron Ramsdale. See, I'll try my best not to miss a beat for you lot, really. Obviously, Toney has a year left on his deal. We've gone over Arteta's comments there. What's this? I mean, Chelsea might need to have a fire sale. Broja, anyone having Broja? I'm not either. I wouldn't mind Conor Gallagher for the squad. Forget Lukaku. Got a lot of love for Sterling, but that's a myth. If Arteta wants to try and improve Mudryk, then you've got my say-so, but it looks like we need to stay away from him. Martinelli's been given an interview, people. Apparently, he said, well, Aaron and Jorginho said to me in the Burnley game, even against Porto, hey, sometimes you're too nice to the team. You want to pass. I say, if I see a player in a better position, I try to pass because if I was in that position, I'd want the ball. I like that from Martinelli because the hardest thing to do in life is make the right decisions. The football's no different. But I'm not going to lie. It's a bit weird how the players say that. I wouldn't say that's the case with Martinelli, if I'm honest, as much as I love him. So I think that sometimes I can be a bit more greedy, but that's up to each individual. And sometimes on the pitch, it's very fast. If you think about two things, you get confused and end up doing neither. Can't lie. Sometimes you look like you do that as well. So it's very different, but big him up. So I think that maybe I can be a bit more greedy for myself, sometimes scoring more goals. But I think for now, I'm doing what I think is right on the pitch. And for now, it's working. Then he also said on, the fact that there's 3 Gabriels in the team, he said, sometimes it's complicated. In training, it's easier. But in the game, it's sometimes complicated because Gabby Jesus plays up front with me, but Big Gabriel also plays on my side of the pitch on the left. So sometimes he, in brackets, Arteta says close up. I don't know if it's me or Gabby. So if he says close up, we both close up. Sometimes it gets confusing, but most of the time we get it right. Sometimes he says Jesus, but I think most of the time everyone in the club says Gabby. Only Magalhaes, they say Big Gabriel. I can't lie, I struggle to say Big Gabriel's last name. I need to learn, people. That's why I kind of duck from it. Arsenal have made Wolves winger Pedro Neto one of their top targets for the summer, according to a report. I mean, I've said this so many times. He's got 11 goals, 11 goal contributions in 18 Premier League appearances so far. He's 23 years of age. We've seen everything from 50 to 60 all the way to 80 million. The only thing I would say once again with him is injuries. This article has also said Eddie Nketiah and Aaron Ramsdale could both leave in the summer, so we'll have to watch that closely. We were linked with Marcos Leonardo before he joined Benfica, and he's actually done well since moving to Portugal. And as we just saw over there, in another article, we're looking at the Portuguese market. So it kind of makes sense. Apparently, we have accelerated our interest in the Benfica striker and have tabled an offer of 30 million euros plus bonuses for his services. I mean, it would be a quick profit, but a club like Benfica, you really going to let him go after he's been there a couple of months where he could develop a bit more? And obviously that price tag could develop. I'm not sure. Smash the like button and let me know what you think, people. The Gunners wanted to sign the 20-year-old before he joined the Portuguese club from Santos in January and are still very much keen on recruiting his services. Arsenal consider Leonardo as one of the most outstanding promises in Brazilian football in recent times and have put themselves in a position of advantage by offering a bid. However, Benfica want to wait until the end of the season to determine the value of the youngster following his impressive start to life in Europe. He's bagged 13 goals and got 2 assists in 31 games for Santos in 2023. And he's continued from where he stopped upon joining the Portuguese outfit with 4 goals in 7 substitute league appearances to his name. The Brazilian is impressing suitors and it's clear to see why Arsenal want him. Arsenal are expected to bring in another striker this summer despite their recent explosive form in front of goal. They've been linked with several big name signings so far, but going for Leonardo could be a smart decision given his current value and huge potential. The South American is also on the radar of the likes of Manchester United and AS Roma, but it appears Arsenal are in the driving seat ahead of the next transfer window. So yeah, allegedly. And this article's also said Smith Rowe, Nelson, and Eddie Nketiah could all potentially depart. I don't know if you lot believe any of that, people, but the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. So let's see if there's anything else, really. Let me know you lot's thoughts on everything we've discussed so far. Let's go over here. Is there anything new here? We've gone over that. And we will have to suffer against Brentford for what Mikel Arteta said there. Anything else? Doesn't appear so, people. So let's not bore ourselves with that. Benfica are homegrown. Not sure what you mean there, but I hear that. This transfer season will be crazy. Every good player is going to demand 100 million. Can't imagine how that will complicate this coming summer transfer window. Apparently, Liverpool are 1-0 up away in the Europa League first leg. Price tag went up a tenfold. I don't get if a club sees a player has potential, they're afraid to sign. I'm not sure what you said there, really, but sign them up. I think you mean wait until the Benfica and Dortmunds. I guess they want to see that intermediate step in it rather than go from a relative humble beginnings to a massive club. We're not saying Benfica and Dortmund aren't, but I think that's something. It's like when, even me, I say it as well, why don't we get these players that Brighton get? Brighton can afford to do that. A lot of people are not going to really have time for these emerging talents. And when you look at half of them people Brighton had, I'm sure, I could be wrong, but McAllister, Caicedo, Mitoma, they all went on loan. I would love us to do what Brighton do and find players from every continent. What defenders do we need to strengthen? I'm not sure on specific names, but my first choice would be, I like that Ajax youngster Hato, but in general, not necessarily saying names and focusing on positions. I would like a Timber/Tomiyasu kind of hybrid, someone that can fill in everywhere. If that can't be achieved, then if you could find a versatile fullback that can play on the left and the right, then fair enough. I do reckon we could do with another centre half, but it's going to have to be a peculiar one because you kind of want them. They're never going to get Saliba or Gabriel's spot unless they show it or they're marquee players. But you almost want them to be good enough to step up if these players are messing about or they're injured, but kind of accepting of being a squad kind of player, if that makes sense. Douglas or Zubimendi, we need both, but respect to Douglas, but he ain't worth 100 million. I'd rather Zubimendi because he's half the price, man. Zinni still is needed in this team. His progressive passing plus control in midfield can help us. Certain games, man, I'm not against him. Big up DG, 20 million for the best Egyptian in the league minimum. El Nene is leaving on a free, man, so I think that's a myth. Neto is injury prone because he's one of the most fouled players in the league because he's so fast. I'm not sure why, but it would concern me if Arsenal were... these injuries do concern me, and Arsenal wouldn't be doing their due diligence if they didn't have concerns about his price tag, and the only kind of blot against his name would be fitness issues. Though I do like that Arsenal are starting to focus on the youth in the summer. More should have been done for a while, to be honest. Amen. Amen, man. I'm with you with that 100%. I don't know. City have at least 3 quality centre-backs, recruit high-quality players and make them fight for their spot. That's true, and we are getting into that scenario where we have to do that. You taking Deluded or you don't want to break Saliba and Big Gabby partnership? I would take Deluded, but it don't really make sense if when you look at the reports, he's unhappy about not playing enough at Bayern Munich, and it looks like he's played a fairly amount of game time. What's going to happen there? Fair enough. It did look like in the summer, Big Gabby had his head turned for whatever reason, and maybe in hindsight, that's why he's on the bench. Why not? I think there is enough games, but I also feel it's a weird one because I sit here and scream depth and versatility and different options and stuff, but I also think you need stability. You look at relationships. A lot of relationships that were there last season have been enhanced this year. You want Declan Rice and Jorginho have a good relationship, but you want a long-term centre mid next to Declan Rice and that trio with Odegaard and Saka and Benjamin White and typically Jesus Havertz at the moment up front. I think the left-hand side has suffered because we've had Kai Havertz there. There's been inconsistencies now with Timber's injury, with Zinchenko in and out, with Tomiyasu missing. Martinelli has kind of struggled there. You need relationships really and truly. So I kind of want stability. I don't want to break out, but you have to really. And you don't want to block partnerships by signing too many players. And see, age-old thing, you got to find that balance, innit? And I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta, and it's not my job to essentially do that. So, yeah, man, it is a weird one. But I would like Arsenal to be kind of one of them teams that were over-prepared. It feels, I always give the example of winter. It's like we step out at noon or at 11 a.m., we've got 2 hoodies on and it's cold, but we can kind of hold it up. And we look at our phone and we go, oh, if the temperature drops, we're in trouble. And then it drops. And obviously, your nipples are hard pause and you're in trouble really and truly. I want us to have so many jackets so we can say, you know what, let's put one in the car. That's how I would equate our depth. Mikel Arteta has said we've got one of the finished squads. And to be fair with you, it would be nice if there was a world where, bit like what we've seen recently, where Declan Rice legs can be saved, Saka's legs can be saved. There's been points this season where you would love Benjamin White to have been saved. And I remember when Benjamin White, along with the whole team, when the form wasn't quite there, he did look knackered and he does play with a lot of injuries. You'd love a reality where Saliba and Gabriel could be rested as well. But who knows, man? You want a good defender, but he has to be mostly on the bench, but you don't want to break up a good defensive pairing. This is where you're in issues. I don't think too many teams are spending big money this summer. Gone are the days of overspending. Selling for big money will be tougher as well. Chelsea are in serious problems. I think Arsenal are going to spend about 150, 200 million, give or take. Arsenal need an Ozil type signing, high-level player to boost the squad. Come on, Wonderguard, isn't it? But I do, I think we need a striker. I think we need a winger. I think we need a central midfielder. If it's up to me, we bring in 2. We've been talking about defense. Another defensive body wouldn't go amiss. Obviously, with probably Aaron Ramsdale leaving, you need a backup goalie who, again, is good enough to push Raya. And, if Raya's messing about, he could get a start. But it's clear that that's the number 2. Because I do feel, as much as I like Ramsdale, and I'm sure he's a great professional and stuff, big up Matt Turner, but Ramsdale's up here, Turner's there. At least for this season, if Ramsdale was the number 1, like how Raya is right now, if you're Raya, if you mess around, your form drops. You've got another, one of the best keepers in the league, a fellow international. You get it. It's like that. Competition brings out the best in all of us. I think that could be said for Benjamin White as well. He's doing very well. But if all our fullbacks are fit, Arteta's got so many options. You got Timber, you could play left, right. Tomiyasu left, right. Kyrgios looking all right in that left back role. Benjamin White, again, there's competition. And I would love Martinelli, and more so Martinelli because Saka's the Saka guy, in it. But you would love a winger that could push them. It's like you go back a few months ago when the whole team wasn't performing and Saka and Martinelli looked a bit spent. Had we have got Mudryk at the time, not rating what he's doing at Chelsea, but off the basis Arteta wanted him. Had we have got Rafinha off the basis he wanted him, had we have got a Pedro Neto, maybe Mikel Arteta would have put one of those in. Big up Trossard because he's an exception as well. I would like another one to the mix. But then again, you sign a striker. Gabriel Jesus could do a job out wide. Whether he's able to stay fit to do a job out wide is another thing. We need curtain raisers like what Jesus and Zinni were for us when they came. Amen. You know, he was a curtain raiser. Both of them, Zinchenko, Jesus. Obviously, Declan Rice has been that. I wouldn't quite say that to Raya, but I think in Mikel Arteta's mind, to a degree, that's the case. And when you look at it, Arteta's made some very important signings. Like, I don't know what I would say if you ask me what I feel Mikel Arteta's most important signing to date at Arsenal would be so far. Because I think in hindsight, you could say Big Gabriel in defence. I think Martin Odegaard's got a big shout. I think you could say Zinchenko and Jesus to a certain extent. You can't really look past Declan Rice with the price tag and what he's doing now. Maybe potentially Benjamin White for what he gives to the system and how, you know, how intelligent you have to be a fullback and all of that jazz. Past that, I'm not sure, really. Wait, it feels so long ago. I'm sure we signed Thomas Partey. I wouldn't quite say with hindsight bias, I wouldn't say Partey, but you could throw him in there. Be an interesting debate, essentially, people. So yeah, man. But with that being said, honestly, people, there's no need to keep you lot. There's nothing to talk about. If there's anything to talk about, you know you're going to get live streams, videos, etc., etc. Saturday, I think it's Manchester United, Everton, midday. So we're going to watch that. We're definitely going to watch Arsenal, Brentford in the evening. I'm going to try run over to the Emirates and get an interview on aftv. Sunday, we're going to watch Liverpool City. You know, on Tuesday is Porto Arsenal. So, you know, there's watch-alongs, there's fan shows, there's tactical videos, there's all sorts of people. Make sure you're following on Twitch, on TikTok, on Twitter. All the things are in the descriptions. But most importantly, man, thank you lot for listening, for commenting, for hitting the like button on all of these sort of things. We're pushing to 70,000 people. So, yeah, you lot enjoy what's left of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night. God bless you all. Thank you for your consistent support. And, yeah, bless.
Always